I got to talk about the New York Football Giants and their week 1 win. Wait, what? Week 1 win? Yeah, those 3 words all next to each other. Week and then 1 and then win. All 3. And it's true. It's true. It's not fake news. It happened. It's been 5 long years. Last time it happened, I had just gotten married. Oh boy, it's 5 years. Doesn't sound like a long time, but hot shit, man. Hot shit. A lot of stuff can happen in 5 years. Not a lot has happened in the win column for the New York Football Giants, but they got in the win column against the Tennessee freaking Titans, who last year, I think 12-5 record, and maybe the number 1 seed in the AFC, not really sure. Upset by the Bengals in the divisional round. We went into Nashville, where I proposed to my ex, my daughter's mother, and we stole a victory. We escaped with the dub. Feels good. It's not normal how much that fucking team, that franchise affects my mood. Let's talk Giants. I'm proud. I went into the season, especially after they cut Blake Martinez. I was like, holy fuck. This is the first time in a very long time that I don't think, no. Like I originally had them, the wins total was 7.5. I had the over. I initially looked at the schedule. I said we're going 10. I mean, this was when the schedule first released in like March or May or whatever the hell it was. And I was like, I can see us going 10-7, 9-8, being in the hunt for the wild card. Then training camp happens. Galladay looks like poop. Aaron Robinson looks like dookie. Toney's not even practicing. Thibodeau's a little banged up. It just felt like everything, there's word about Daniel Jones throwing pick after pick in practice and looking bad. And it's just like Darius Slayton, rumors of him getting traded or cut. And it's just like, oh man. Like, I don't understand how it feels like we upgraded the roster over 2021. And you're saying to yourself, it can't get worse than 2021. But here we are, where I'm thinking to myself, and then you watch the preseason and you're just like, I don't think we're going to win a goddamn game this year. But then you say to yourself, at least I did, oh, it's a rebuild. I get it. It's a rebuild. This is what an actual rebuild is. You have to blow it up and start at the first brick, one by one. I get it now. I get it. And then you look at the schedule and you're like, oh, well, that's a winnable game. Oh, well, that's a winnable game. Oh, that could be a W. How could that not be a W? And then you talk yourself into 5-6 wins. You're like, fuck. But like, that's still, we're not going to get like the top pick. Like we had pick number 5 and we missed on 2 people that we would have loved. You know what I mean? Like if we're going to rebuild, let's rebuild and get that number 1 pick. But you still, no matter how much, like that's why I could never fully approve of tanking and trusting the process. Like I could never do that. I couldn't do it when they were 0-8 or 0-7 in 2013. I couldn't get on board with it. Like when we were talking about that Giants R-words, Giants Commanders game from 2018 or 2019 when like Chase Young, it was 2019. We ended up like winning when we should have lost because then we would have got the earlier pick, which means we could have got Chase Young. Instead, we got Andrew Thomas. Boo fucking who. Andrew Thomas is like one of the top 5 offensive tackles in the league right now, if not top 3, not even the top 1, dude. So whatever. I can't fully get on with the tanking. But god damn it, even in a rebuild, even when I know we should be tanking, I still want to see some kind of like positive signs that we're moving in the right direction and that we have something to build on, as opposed to, I guess like, sure, Dable and Shane brought in their guys, but it's not their team yet. Like they don't feel like they can have their full control or stamp on it because of all the transgressions from Judge and Shermer and McAdoo and Gettleman, primarily Gettleman. It was tough watching James Bradbury take a pick 6. It was tough because it was like, oh, he should be on the Giants. And if he were on the Giants, we wouldn't be literally tinkling in our panties about Aaron Robinson. It wouldn't be a non-factor. So that was rough. But that first half, I was just like your worst fears are confirmed. The offense can't move the ball, 3 and out. Jones getting pressured or, succumbing to the pressure and not being able to withstand the pressure and make the correct throw. Our O-line looking worse than ever. Toney not playing at all. And you're like, what the hell's going there? Darius Slayton is completely inactive, healthy scratch. And Richie James is like getting all the targets. You're like, what the fuck? This is even worse than I could have even imagined. And then it's like Saquon busts one for a long game. Sterling catches a bomb for a touchdown. And you're like, I can't believe this game's tied right now. I can't fucking believe that this game is tied right now. What the hell is going on? And then, pulling it out at the end. I mean, I had a feeling, judging from what everyone's saying, and even from judging by what Saquon has said himself, it's like, okay, this dude is on a motherfucking mission. He is, impervious, invincible, unstoppable, indestructible. This guy is no holds barred, 110%, and I feel bad for the players that are going to have to tackle him. And sure enough, he met and exceeded the hype. We were all expecting him to come back to form. We knew 2020 was a lost season. We knew 2021 wasn't going to be, what it was in 2018 or even 2019. But this is the best he's ever looked. I mean, yeah, rookie season, a lot of jaw-dropping moments, but I tweeted this out one game in, and I'm convinced. And maybe I'm kind of overselling or overestimating the Titans defense, but I feel like that's how they have been winning games and been so successful, is through their defense and through a stout running game. And then we hold Derrick Henry to less than 100 yards, on 21 carries, 82 yards. He didn't really punish us that much. And we were able to gouge their defense with the run, which I thought was huge. And you could run the damn ball is all I kept going through my head. And I'm sure everyone watching that game was just like, run the damn ball, especially after you saw the success in the second half. You're like, why weren't we doing this before? Why are we trying to come up with all these clever, crafty passing plays to disguise and mask how shitty our offensive line is, or even our receivers at this point? Because it's like, they're not getting open. And if they are, Jones doesn't have any kind of trust in them whatsoever to make the play or make the throw. Kind of shocking to see that Jones was only had 2 or 3 incompletions. I was like, wait, what? How do you, what? We were watching the same game. I was incredulous that he was 17 to 21, 18 to 21. It was and with a pick, which means he only had 2 or 3 actual incompletions. And one of them was a drop by Richie James. It's just how the fuck did he have that kind of completion percentage? It just didn't feel like we were moving the ball at all through the air. And if it was a 3rd and 20 where it's a dump off to Richie James. How Richie James is getting more snaps. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson goes down with the hip or knee injury or whatever, which I tweeted it was the least surprising news of all time. I saw him get hit. Here's what happened. You watch Tyreek Hill play and you're like, okay, this is a smaller stature type dude, but he still plays really physical, and he's for a small dude, he is jacked. He's built. He's a sturdy, strong dude. And so a lot of people were painting Wan'Dale Robinson as this Tyreek Hill-esque type player. Bless. And so I kind of had it in my head that he was. And then I watched him in the game against the Jets, I think. He had this jet sweep or the end around. And he got tackled, and I thought every bone in his body broke. It just looks like he cannot take a hit. It looks like he's about to break every time he does get hit. And sure enough, he gets injured. And I was like, well, I mean, I could kind of see that coming. I mean, the guy is so small. So I don't know what they have planned for him in the future. They must have a package, but I don't buy any of the excuses that they have a limited number of packages for Kadarius Toney and they weren't able to use them in the game. When are you going to use them, guy? We're trying to win the game. Why aren't you using him? I could imagine if we were up 38-0, big time blowout score. We got the backups in, and it's all right, we're just running the ball. We're just trying to kill the clock and run out the clock. Okay, then Tony's not going to play. But what packages are you talking about? And then the plays that they do give him are, I guess they're designed for him, so it makes it easier to understand, because that's the rumor at the water cooler. The speculation is that he can't grasp the playbook unless it's a play specifically designed for him, which is pretty witty on his part. That's some devious shit if true. But it's the end around handoff. It's the wide receiver pass that he was supposed to attempt but couldn't because he was getting pressured and turned into a positive gain. Every time he touched the ball, he was getting positive yardage, chunk yards, and yet 7 snaps out of 60 plus. What the fuck is going on? And that's what is bananas to me. Is they would rather have okay, fine, Richie James is your next. They'd rather have David Sills and Richie James on the field before Kadarius Toney. Now, if there's some kind of injury that they're not really, if they feel like they're not 100%, they're still not, even though he's been cleared, he's not on the injury report, that they're still worried that if they use him on every snap, that his probability of getting injured goes up because of the injury to his foot or whatever he was dealing with in 2021. I guess he doesn't understand the playbook. Okay, I guess. I just don't think the staff likes him because he was a Gettleman guy. Bradbury gone. Martinez gone. Evan Ingram gone. Anyone that came onto this team, I guess Evan Ingram wasn't technically Gettleman, but anyone that was part of Gettleman's stable that isn't like borderline elite, like an Andrew Thomas or an Xavier McKinney, it's like they're automatically in bad favor with the coaching staff. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. Why would you throw David Sills out there? 0 catches. I mean, wide open down the sideline. Daniel Jones is not even looking at him. Why do you have even Kenny Golladay? Why is he on the field, dude? 60. He played majority of the snaps, if not all the snaps. 80 some odd plus percentage, I think. 2 catches on like 4 targets, I think it was, or like 2. It might have been 2 targets for like 20 yards. I would rather take a guy who doesn't know the playbook, who can make plays, than Kenny Golladay at this point. Wouldn't you? I mean, I don't understand. Honest to God, forget that he's on the team during games. Jesus Christ. So it's, and with Golladay, it's a salary thing. It's like there's 17 million, whatever, in dead cap. He'd be so gone if it wasn't for his salary. And then they get Darius Slayton to take a pay cut and they don't even dress him. You have David Sills and Richie James starting and playing over Kadarius, Toney, Darius Slayton, and getting more targets than Kenny Golladay. I mean, are we in the upside down? Are we in fucking bizarro land? Holy smokes, dude. But this is not supposed to be a negative goddamn episode, dude. It's not supposed to be. We gotta be positive. I mean, the Giants won this game almost as much as the Titans lost this game. I mean, the Titans made some really bad decisions, some really bad play calling, had every opportunity to put this game away and didn't. Up 13-0 at half, and then not using Derrick Henry. I mean, there was one point where it was like 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 or something like that, and they run an end around with the tight end, and the fucking broadcaster, who has zero affiliation with like Tennessee or New York or the Giants or the Titans or anything like that, is like, you have Derrick Henry in the backfield. What are you doing? What are you doing? So, I think the Titans, I mean, even on the last sequence where it's like you get the big completion of Phillips along the sideline on Darnay Holmes. So it's like, is Darnay Holmes falling out of favor? Probably. And you're in field goal range. You're at the 27. And then you have like Tannehill kind of take the snap and then go over all the way to the right hash. So instead of centering the ball, he's all the way on the right hash, which I guess is the hash that Bullock likes it, Fat Randy, and lose yardage. And then he has to kick the field goal and he misses it. So, I mean, it's you could say, what are we talking about if he hits that field goal? It's same old Giants. Defense falters when it matters most at the end of the first half, at the end of the game, which has been a crux for them for the past 2 years, and we're saying the same old thing. But I think it can't be understated that Dable's decision to go for it two after the touchdown, I think is going to be like, I know this is an overreaction, and it's overreaction Tuesday now because I didn't do overreaction Monday. Complete overreaction on my part, but that's the defining moment of the season and of his tenure. For 2022, that is the defining moment. Going for 2 on the road, hostile, like against a top-notch team, a pretty good defense, and saying, go win the ball game. That means a lot to the team, and the fact that the team and Saquon responded. I don't think that 2021 Saquon converts that 2-point conversion. I just don't think he does. But that's a huge defining moment. And I think even though the defense didn't really rise up and stop the Titans, I mean, I think if we're looking at this later on in the season and they're in that same situation, I don't think Darnay Holmes is on the field, or, hopefully, fingers crossed, he's better and it doesn't have to hold and can actually keep up with people man to man in the slot, or we find someone else to move into that slot and they can keep up. But getting back to Jones, like, I just didn't think it was a great game, but then you look at his stat line, you're like, holy, okay, that's actually pretty good stat line. If someone was doing the math, and if you were to extrapolate that, it's like 34 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and X amount of yards, X amount of completion percentage, QBRs up, and the QB ratings high, and it's like, yeah, but you watch that game, and I'm telling you, and I know that people are pissed that there are Giants fans thinking like this and that are bashing Daniel Jones, but like, even I've had 2 days to digest this. I still cannot fathom how he fucking threw that interception on 3rd and 8 in the red zone inside the Titans 10 in the 4th quarter, driving for a score. Such a bad throw. And then I saw the all all 22 from Talking Giants. They have a pod that's awesome. Bobby Skinner was doing the O-line report, and he shows the all 22 with the interception. And it's like, he wasn't getting pressured really on that play. And if he's throwing back shoulder, not even close to being back shoulder. And literally the dude didn't have to do much of anything to pick the ball off. It's not like he had made a great play. And it's like, if he had just given it an extra like half second to a second, which he had with the protection he had either Shepard or Galladay, some crosser from right to left, right at the goal line. That's like, it's a touchdown. And he missed, obviously we talked about how he missed Sills down the left line. People are like knocking him for underthrowing Shepard on a touchdown. I'm not going to knock him for that. But there was another third down where I want to say it's not zero coverage, but maybe it was zero coverage, where it's like all out blitz. There's 0 people in the middle of the field, no linebackers. And you have Tanner Hudson, tight end, moving from left to right on like a crosser slant in. And then you have Richie James kind of right behind him. There's no one in front of Tanner Hudson. And it's just like, you hit him and he's able to not only get the first down, possibly score. And instead he opts for Richie James. It's like, he just, like, it's year 4. We endured the dumb red zone interceptions, the big red zone interception against the Steelers on opening night last year or the year before. We endured throwing the pick against the Rams in LA when they were driving to tie up the game. We endured, like, we've seen this shit over the first 3 years, and we, for the most part, have excused it. I know I have excused it. I've been on the Dan wagon for a while, but I after that interception, I was like, come on, dude, you're better than this. You have to be better than this. I've supported you for 3 fucking years in this bullshit. You have to be better than this. And so that's why it was so nice and comforting to see Dayball get in his face and bitch him out and ream him out on the sideline. Because it's like, no, we're not. No. You're not a rookie anymore. You're not in your second year. You're not in your third year. You're in your fourth year. You're wearing the captain thing. You got to lead. Like, this is not. Nope. We're not coddling you anymore. We're not going to baby you anymore. You made a big mistake. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to push your head in the mess like you would a dog and say no and be forceful. Tough love, dude. Tough love. He needs it. And did he play better after it? I think he played a little bit better after it. So he just gets locked in. Like, why are you locking in on Richie James? Why are you locking in on Saquon? It felt like he was those were his only 2 options. And it's like, dude, you have Shep, you have Galladay, you have Bellinger, you have Hudson, you have Toney. Hopefully, if he's in the freaking game, like, spread it around, brother. Sprinkle, my man. So, but again, humongous win. And now, after what happened to the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football with Dak breaking his thumb, probably being out 6 to 8 weeks, but knowing how things go, he'll probably be back in 4. But he's out. The Panthers lost to the Browns. Now, people are like, how could they lose the Browns? Oh my God, on their home turf. And it's like, the Browns they're not that bad. I mean, they made the playoffs in 2020. They were close to, they played a lot of close games last year. They probably could have made the playoffs if Baker wasn't like the Walking Dead and like literally in a walking ambulance for the infirmary ward the entire goddamn season and all the other crap that they were dealing with. I mean, that's a playoff team. They can run the ball. Their defense is pretty good, So I don't know that you can chalk up next week to an automatic victory, an automatic win. I mean, I have as a guaranteed win, but that's me. I mean, if you looked at my bet slip from the weekend, not hitting that well. My average is down. It's low. It's like Tomas Nito, Darren Ruff, James McCann. Speaking of, before we get into the Mets, I do want to say it's going to be a home opener for the Giants against the Panthers. I wanted to go. I put out the group text last couple of weeks ago, last weekend, being like, anyone want to go to the home opener? And it was home opener, and it was like crickets. All right, cool. You would think they maybe changed their mind after they saw what happened. Potential of going 2-0 with looking at possibly 3-0 and then 4-0 because you got the Bears and the Cowboys. And it's like, yes, the Bears beat the freaking 49ers, which kicked me out of my elimination pool, survivor pool, whatever. Maybe Chicago's not like to be taken lightly. And maybe Carolina is not to be taken lightly either, because the word on the street is, the Titans wide receivers are like pretty brutal. You went from having Julio Jones and AJ Brown to some dude named Phillips and Robert Woods. And I don't even know who the other guy was. Like, that receiving core is not great. So understandably, it's like we're going up against probably a better passing offense, and our secondary, and we've shown that our coverage isn't great. Tate Crowder, lays the smackdown on Derrick Henry, great, but there's also like 60 some odd other snaps where it's like, especially in coverage where he's getting beat. Austin Calitro, who is like a ball hawk in the preseason, is like, he's getting beaten coverage. And it's just like, well, I think we know the secret to our demise, to our lack of success. It's going to be linebackers and coverage. And it's like, we're going up against Christian McCaffrey. It's like, they're just going to like fucking run our linebackers ragged. So, but still, I think we have a pretty decent shot at going 2-0, especially since I don't think the Carolina defense is as highly built as the Titans defense, and sure, the Titans didn't execute and they made some really bonehead decisions, but you have like, it's hard to ignore what kind of job that Wink Martindale did with the defensive game. Oh my God. We get down 13-0 at half and you figure, all right, this is where we just get our doors. Like, it's basically the Q4 of 2021 for us. There were games in November, December of 2021 where it's like, we're just getting fucking smoked and there's no chance of us doing anything to stop it. 34-0, 34-3, like just getting multiple double digit score deficits. And it's like, that's kind of like what it looks like it was going to be in the second half. And instead we just get pretty solid play, I mean, other than that last drive, I think, and that was mostly on Darnay Holmes. I don't think that was really on anyone else. I mean, zero pressure, absolutely no pressure from the pass rush, which is concerning, but you were down Kayvon and you were down Aziz. You didn't have Ojulari, you didn't have Thibodeau. And I don't know that we're going to get them back for week 2. Would be nice, but can you imagine what this defense can be like with them back? We're back in the New York groove. Yeah. So it's amazing what the win does, because now it's like, maybe we can win the division. Like, I mean, I watched that Eagles game, and even though the final score is 38-35, they just looked good. And it's hard. But then again, it's like against Detroit. So you're like, how real is this? Like, they scored on almost every drive they did offensively. So, and AJ Brown, I mean, is going to be a fucking nightmare for us. Like, he had some like 6 catches in the second quarter. By the second quarter, ended up with like 155 yards receiving or something like that. I mean, he's going to be a problem. And then you have Devontae Smith on the other side, wreaking havoc. Dallas Goedert, this fucking Gainwell. No, we got Brightwell. They got Gainwell. Boston Scott's always a pain in our ass. So yeah, I think the Eagles offense probably has their act together now, even with everyone, who's come down hard on Jalen Hurts and knocked him. I still feel like he poses a threat, with his legs. But their defense, I guess, I might have I don't know. I felt like their defense was doing such a great job, but then it's all of a sudden you look up and it's like, whoa, it's fucking 38-35 right now. Like, the Lions are just like finding ways to move the ball and score. I mean, Goff started off that game so poorly. It was like, was it 2 of 7 for like 6 yards? It's like, okay, Eagles are going to roll. And then you had DeAndre Swift break out. Was it Jameson Williams? I like that dude a lot. He's cool. But so it seems like the Commanders, I mean, they beat the Jags. The Jags, you got to figure, are probably better than they were last year, because just of the fact that Urban Meyer's not there and Doug Peterson, that some bitch, is the head coach now. And they only lose by 6 to the Jags, only lose by 6 to the Commanders. So is that real? And you look at what the Cowboys put up. They're missing their left tackle. They're now missing their starting quarterback. It seems like they're missing some wideouts that can make a difference. Like, CeeDee Lamb was pretty much held in check all night, because who else is a threat to you? Dalton Schultz? I think Gallup might be hurt or something. I mean, there were guys on the Cowboys I've never heard of. They're getting the bulk of the targets and the receptions. It's just like, and okay, after a 6-hour time span, 8-hour time span, in 8 hours, I've gone from, okay, we're going to get like a top 5 draft pick to, we might actually win this fucking division. It's absurd. Watch us come out this week and get just steamrolled on our home turf. It'd be like, oh, why did I get so high? But could you imagine we go 2-0? Could you imagine? I was that first half, it was just, you question, you're like are Dable and Shane just like, there was the thought crossed my mind where it was like, okay, they're just throwing in the towel already. They're just like, pass on this entire season because of everything they've done. It's like, we might as well get rid of Blake Martinez because he's not part of the long-term future. Anyone who's not part of the long-term future, who's not gonna like cost them an arm and a leg, they're like, all right, we'll just let it ride. Let it ride. Like, let it ride. Broncos Nation. So, but they don't. They pull out the win. And it seems like the players that are getting the playing time like him. I don't know how Darius Slayton feels about him. I don't know about Kadarius Toney feels about him, but it seems like most of the team has bought into it. And I mean, it's a huge signature win. And if they can carry that momentum, you could, I'm jinxing the piss out of it, so I don't want to say it, but god damn, how do you not get a little bone juice percolating looking at their schedule? I mean, the Packers in London, but it's London, and maybe the Packers aren't who we thought they were. And then the Ravens. So yeah, I mean, you very well could look at a 4-2 start heading into Jacksonville, followed by the Seahawks in Seattle is going to be an issue, because even with Geno Smith at the helm, I can't, they beat the fucking Broncos. Like, okay, cool. The Texans are no joke either. I mean, like, the Colts are like pretty much the favorite. I think it's either them or the Titans in the AFC South. So for the Texans to come up and send that game in overtime and end up with a tie against the Colts, like, I don't think the Texans are anything to sneeze at. I think Lovie Smith, it might have something cooking down there. And then the Lions, which after what I saw against Philadelphia, like, they're not going to be a pushover. But if we can just get to that second Cowboys game, either on or before Thanksgiving, like, if you can get to, let's say we pull it off, 4-2, 5-2. I'll do 5-3, 6-3, 7-3. If you can get to 7-3 with that remaining schedule, I like our odds, because from Thanksgiving on, I mean, that's where boys become men. That's the long road to perdition. I mean, Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles, Commanders, Vikings, Colts, Eagles. Oh, I mean, I don't care how crappy other teams are in our division. They're always tough to play. And we have 4 division games in a row. Whew. And the Vikings are looking like they could be NFC North champions after what they did to Green Bay. But this is also seems like it's the type of situation where Green Bay does this almost every year, where like they have an early season loss that they were expected to win. Everyone panics. And then Aaron Rodgers is like, relax. And then they end up going on a run. And then they lose in the playoffs. So, it's insane how I went from we're not going to be able to win more than 7.5 games to we will win 7 games by Thanksgiving. All because of a missed field goal, dude. Yikes. Oh my God. So stupid.